So if you haven't figured it out by now, I always do my best videos while I'm driving home from work. Anyway, I went back to work yesterday after having 2 weeks off for surgery recovery. So I just wanted to, my phone just slapped down, sorry. I just wanted to make a video to update everyone since I am now post-surgery, and just explain what's been going on, how my recovery's been going, and basically just to not have to repeat myself 1,000 times and like forget anything. So I had my surgery on Monday, March 4th. Today is Tuesday, March 19th. So this week is like going into my 3rd week of recovery from surgery. So I guess, I don't remember where my last video left off. I think it was like I had a surgery date and that was it, or I was going, I think I had to go to my nutrition class and a post-op appointment, which were on February 21st. But I don't think I ever like updated anyone about that. So anyway, I guess I'll start there. Those were my basically last 2 things that I had to do directly before surgery, and those were back-to-back appointments that were scheduled for February 21st, like I said. So the post-op appointment was like super quick, super easy because like I said before, like aside from being overweight, I don't have any medical issues, so there wasn't really anything to do pre-op wise. My surgeon's office just told me to take 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol the night before surgery, like when I went to bed, and I also had to drink a not red or orange or anything colored Gatorade the night before surgery and then while I was on my way to the hospital. And that's basically so that the surgeon could see if there was any internal bleeding or anything. It wouldn't be obstructed by like the red Gatorade. It wouldn't mix it with it. So I drank, the hospital gave me 11 lime ones and I just drank those. Other than that, my pre-op appointment actually fell, it's usually scheduled 2 weeks prior, like 14 days prior to your surgery date, but the class that they got me, not the class, I'm sorry, the pre-op appointment that they got me into was actually like 10 days before surgery, so I missed like the 4 days. But basically that was just to start a 1,000 calorie diet. It's supposed to be 2 weeks pre-op, and that's basically to shrink any fat around your liver and kidneys so that the surgeon has easy access to your stomach and your GI tract while he's in there. And again, the procedure was done laparoscopically, so I'm not sure if everyone knows what a laparoscopic procedure is. Basically, it's like a super minimally invasive. I don't have any huge incisions. I have six little incisions, but I guess you could almost call them like puncture wounds at that point. They weren't even stitched on the outside. They just had those steri strips over them that are like kind of glued to it, and then they fall off as it heals. So I had 6 incisions, and they basically distend your whole torso with some kind of gas so that they can access everything inside your internally. So the 1,000 calorie diet is to help aid basically with like movement and being able to see around your organs and all that good stuff. So the 1,000 calorie diet wasn't like super restrictive, it's just 1,000 calories, but I kind of started, that kind of jump started my I guess like my eating habit change, where I was like super conscious of what I was eating. I tried to eat extremely healthy so that being as though I only had 1,000 calories, I still wanted to be able to feel full during the day. So I was eating like a lot of like egg whites and, you know, low calorie, like high protein and stuff. And within the 10 days I had dropped like 8 or 9 pounds just because I basically stuck. I followed it basically, I mean, pretty religiously. There were, I think, like 2 or 3 days where I was at like 1100 calories or 1200 calories, but I mean, not a huge deal. But there were some days where I was under 1,000 calories, so it kind of evened out at the end. But yeah, so like pre-op I had dropped another 8 or 9 pounds. So total before surgery, I had started this whole process in October, like the very end of October. So I was at, I think I had lost like 17 pounds before surgery. I started at 285 at the end of October, and when I got on the scale literally right before I went to the OR, I was at 268. Right? Yeah, so that was like 17 pounds or something like that. So anyway, did the nutrition class, which basically went over like pre and post-op diet, and the big thing with like bariatric lifestyle is after any type of surgery, depending on your practice and your surgeon's practice and stuff, everyone has their own plan or program that they set out for the patients, and it is, I mean, it's semi-bases it on an individual scale, but it's mostly like just what's best for the whole program or the whole group, whether you're having the sleeve like I did, or if you're having gastric bypass or RNY, RNY or whatever. They kind of set out the same guidelines for everyone. So nutrition class was just basically like, the first half was an actual dietitian going over like pre and post-op diet and examples of things and what you need to do and what you need to plan for. And then the second, it was like 2 hours. The second half of it was the nurse manager of the hospital that I had it at, and he was basically going over like your stay at the hospital, like what you can expect when you show up to be admitted, and then pre-surgery, post-surgery, when you're in the recovery room and stuff like that. So they give you a good idea of what to expect kind of as a whole. So at February 21st, like once those appointments were done, I was kind of on my own until surgery day, and like I said, I did pretty well, you know, leading up to surgery. So I had to be at the hospital at 7 a.m. on Monday, March 4th, and I think my actual surgery, I don't know if it started at like 9:30 or 10, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I was my surgeon's second case of the day. So we got to the hospital, I got like checked in, and then we basically just waited for, I don't know, it was like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, for him to finish with his first case, and then they would get me ready. So like we literally were just sitting in the waiting room, the admissions waiting room, and then they came and got us. My husband was with me, so they came and got us. They took us into like the OR state, I guess, like staging or holding area or whatever, and like you get undressed, like you get your gown on. They made me like wipe my whole torso area with this like weird cloth thing to semi-clean it, I guess. They go over like your medical history. The anesthesiologist comes over, puts an IV in. They go over all any medications that you're on. But again, I wasn't on any daily medications or don't have any like medical issues or anything like that. So we went over like my medical history real quick. I met the anesthesiologist and the nurse anesthetist, and just like everyone, I guess like my care team, I don't know, everyone that would be like taking care of me. My surgeon came in, said hi. Super great guy. He came in, said hi, introduced himself to Pat, and kind of just like went over it. I think I was in the OR for about an hour. I was actually wheeled in there, and then they had me sit on the table and like breathe into a mask, and then I was out. When I woke up, I was in a lot of pain. I don't know if it was from the gas or just me. I was in and out of it all day, but I do remember that I was just in a lot of pain, like in my stomach area. So they were great. They kept me on pain meds so that it was managed. It wasn't anything unbearable, but like I was really uncomfortable. So I think they gave me like fentanyl, and then they moved me to Dilaudid which was just through my IV, and they were keeping me pumped with fluids, and I was just really tired at that point. Like, I felt okay once I got the pain meds. I was in recovery. I kind of remember like looking at the clock and asking the nurse what time it was, and she said like she was going to call up and talk to my husband and tell him like, you know, everything went okay, I was doing okay, they were going to move me up to my room. I don't remember what time I got up to my room. I have no idea anyway, but they got me like settled, and I literally, like, I met the nurses, and then I was basically just sleeping like off the anesthesia, the medicine and stuff. So I forgot to mention earlier, the night before surgery, I had to have like a light dinner, but nothing to eat after 6:30 p.m. But I could have clear liquids, which was, I could have like Jello or something if I was like super hungry, but I was fine. Clear liquids up until I left for the hospital. I was allowed to have clear liquids, but like brush my teeth and stuff like that, but I was fine. So I hadn't eaten since 6:30 Sunday night, and then had surgery. I'm pretty sure I was up in my room by like, I don't know, 1:30 or 2 p.m. And Pat came up, and like I basically just slept, but like, so I hadn't had anything to drink or eat orally like since 6:30 the night before. But they gave you like a dinner tray because they want you to start sipping and making sure that you can keep fluid down, because that would be the thing that would like keep you in the hospital if you couldn't keep fluid down. So the nurse gave me like a stack of 1 ounce like medicine cups and some water, and basically I had to just pour the water into the cup and then sip it slowly. They want you to finish a 1 ounce cup, I think it was like in 10 to 15 minutes or something, and I had no issues with it. I was perfectly fine. I had no problem swallowing. I never vomited. I wasn't nauseous. They were giving me nausea medication, but like I felt fine. Like I didn't feel sick or anything. So I was good with the water, and then they brought me like a dinner tray, which was literally just chicken broth and this protein Jello, which was terrible. But the chicken broth obviously tasted so good, because now it was like almost 24 hours later. It was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 p.m. And then the same thing with the chicken broth. You sip it 1 little ounce. They don't really have like a goal for you to finish, you know, a certain number of ounces. They just want to see that you're consistently taking it in and being able to keep it down. So I don't know if I'm super lucky or if I just kind of had like a strong stomach to begin with, but I was totally fine. I had no issues. I say like flying through it, but I was taking my time, but I was having no problems doing it. So that was great. Everyone was, you know, happy with that. So we stayed at the hospital Monday night, and like I said, I was sleeping off and on all day. So I remember the nurse was saying like if I was ready to get up and walk around, which they encourage because it helps move all that gas out of your system that might have been left over, like residual gas from surgery. And she said it's just good to start getting up and walking around to like feel good. So I wanted to go to the bathroom, and I tried to get up, and I was like super dizzy. So I laid back down for a few minutes, and then we tried again, and then I was fine. I got up, went to the bathroom, and then Pat and I took a walk just around the floor a couple times. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, but whatever. So they took some blood to check my, I don't know, whatever levels they were looking for. Everything was fine. They kept up with just like my pain medicine and other medications that I had to start taking. They filled my prescriptions while I was in the hospital, and I went home with Prevacid, the generic version, but basically just like the acid reducer. I take that for 3 months, once a day for 3 months, and like a stool softener type thing, because I didn't know this, but anesthesia puts your bowels to sleep. So that's why whenever you have any type of surgery, they like push those stool softeners to like, you know, force you to like go or whatever. So again, I was perfectly fine. I didn't really have any issues. My incisions were okay. They looked good. They weren't like leaking or anything. So the surgeon came in Tuesday morning just to say hi and say that everything went really about, you know, like going home. I was on a clear liquid diet only while I was in the hospital, which is just broth, Jello, water, which I was fine with. And then as soon as I was discharged, I was told to start what they call a full liquid diet. So I was discharged Tuesday morning, like not early morning, I guess early afternoon. Or I think we were home by like noon, and was discharged, like felt pretty good. I walked down, you know, I walked over to the car, like I was fine. We stopped and picked up my prescriptions. I got my vitamins that I eventually had to start taking, but they tell you to wait until 10 days post-op to start taking your vitamins, because sometimes they can mess with your stomach. So if you're already adjusting and then you take the vitamins and something makes you sick, you don't know what it is because you have a lot going on. So left the hospital, I felt pretty okay. Like we actually left and went to ShopRite. I got a couple like Premier protein shakes, which I don't like at all, but just to have something. We had ordered protein powder, but we were waiting for it to be delivered. So just got some like milk and stuff that I was allowed to have, Jello.